Okay, guys. Am I audible? Yes, yes. So we are not full house yet. Let us wait for a couple of minutes. Let us see if the people join or are they relaxing over the weekend. Just let us wait for another couple of minutes. So in the meantime, I'll open my. Right now, there should be at least actively joining people will be somewhere around 80, 70 to 80 in between. Some of the people just watch the recordings, right? So that is a different number, but people who actively attend is approximately around 80 for Azure. Yeah. Okay. So let us get into Azure. Right. Yeah, if your PowerShell is not working, Rama, my recommendation is use Azure PowerShell. Use Azure PowerShell. Yeah. I will get automatically. I'll get it. They're automatically confirmed. So if you got the confirmation request in your Google Calendar, you are done. Okay. That's it. Rama, you do one thing. First thing which I want you to do is, okay. I think I've given you this link, right? So for the people who have problems on basically doing the activities, go to qtdevops.com/qtdevops, and in qtdevops you have something called as Azure issues. Create a GitHub account, go over here, and please raise the issue over here. It will be addressed. Is that okay, Rama? So I'm giving this link again. Okay, go to this. Try to raise your whole issue. Okay. Thank you. Okay. No, my calendar is anyway public. So I don't use my Gmail calendar as really to put any of my personal activities around there. So my Gmail account is basically I don't use it for my actual transactions. I use a different account. I use my live account for that. Okay. So for me, even if they steal out any data out of Google, there is nothing actually there. I know that there is, right? But Calendly is a trusted app. But still, okay, I would have not much of my information on my Google account. I'm not saying Google is unsecure. I am used to Hotmail. I come from that Hotmail world. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I think we are up now. We will get started. All right. So let us do one thing. Today, what we will try to understand is we will try to understand. Okay. So an interesting section which is called as, which is especially for Linux. Okay. Right. You don't have an audio. I am audible to others, right? Good. So Linux or let me I'll put it in this. Linux distributions endorse on Azure. Okay. So basically, what Microsoft has done is Microsoft have given you a list where they have endorsed some of the Linux distributions, where they have endorsed some of the Linux distribution. The same might not be the problem for Windows as such, because for when it comes to the Microsoft and the Windows world, they are owners of it, and there is no need for them to endorse any particular distribution as such, or any particular version as such. But when it comes to Linux, Microsoft basically Microsoft endorses. Okay, there are some questions. Let me have a look at that first. Okay, shall we continue? Rehan, I think I'll deal with this at the last. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. So shall we continue? Am I clear? Loud and clear? Because I still get some no audio issues. Sorry for asking this again, but I got one no audio request. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Yeah. Okay then. So Microsoft endorses some Linux distributions. Okay. So I'm quite sure that people in this room understand what a Linux distribution is. Okay. So, but still, for the people who don't know that, I'm just quickly I'll try to tell you what it is. For example, we use Android phones, right? So all of the Android phones will have one operating system, which is Android, which is anyway a kind of a Linux kernel. So basically in Linux, what happens is Linux community releases a kernel, and that kernel is taken by a lot of different companies, and they add some other features to it. And now some companies take those and they build operating systems on top of it. Okay, right, fine. So for example, we have Android, which is basically given by Google, and this Android is taken by Samsung, and then they make their own editions, right? So OnePlus takes it, they call it as an Oxygen OS, or I think it is an Oxygen OS, right? Some other Chinese companies or companies like Micromax take that phones and they call it as Cyanogen OS. So at the core it is all Android, but there are many players who add some customizations to it, because Linux is open source, right? So now Azure also allows you to run. 1 minute, man. 1 minute. Uh, I think I should be clear now. If I am not clear now, this is definitely your mistake, right? So I am not going to fix that for you. I can't. I can fix your laptops, right? So am I audible? At least one confirmation, I'll go ahead. Good, sir. Good, good. Because I often get this message, I think that everyone is in trouble. Okay, right. Sorry if it finds you find not in a good mood when you come across with this statement, right? Fine. So Microsoft basically endorses certain Linux distributions, right? So what are those Linux distributions and where can I find that information? Okay, that is one side of the story. So, and then what Microsoft also does is they are working along with lot of Linux communities to add more flavors to this endorsed list, right? Okay, and not only that, if your company is building a very specific Linux operating system for its own purpose and if they want to run it on Azure, Microsoft has given out a way. So when it comes to Linux distributions, Microsoft endorses a list, right? Microsoft also provides guidelines to bring your own Linux to Azure. For that, I'll be giving you links for this, okay, because even I have to Google them, okay. And endorsed Linux distributions. What are the endorsed Linux distributions, right? So stick yourself mostly to the endorsed versions, right? And then we will basically worry about what are the other stuffs which you need to basically do. This endorsed distribution concept is for Linux, okay. So let me go to Google and then type Linux endorsed distributions Azure. Good. Fine. So whenever you are trying to create a Linux machine in Azure, okay. So this is a link. This is something which you need not know if you are an admin, because you always, if someone asks you to tell that, okay, can you create a CentOS 8 machine in Azure, it is already present. Okay. Can you create a Ubuntu 18 machine in the Azure? Anything above Ubuntu 12 plus is actually supported right now. Okay. Am I clear on this? So along with that, there are some kernels. Kernel is a root operating system which are tuned for Azure. Okay. So if you come from Linux world, you can this Azure tuned kernels. Okay. Okay, might be interesting. Okay. This is especially for the people who come from Linux world. If you are a Linux admin and all of that stuff, if you don't belong to that world, just leave it. It's okay. Okay. And one more thing is, yeah, how can you upload your own generic version of Linux? That is present over here. Okay. So if you want to upload any non-endorsed version of Linux into Azure, what are the different steps which you need to follow? Right? Sometimes you might be asked to do it. Okay, these are the generic steps. But if you are trying to upload, okay, a non-endorsed machine, right, you have to follow this stuff. You have to follow this stuff. Am I clear on this? Okay. Now let me speak about one interesting thing. Okay. So every Azure virtual machine, we will anyway speak about it. Every Azure virtual machine, every Azure machine which basically runs will have an agent. What is an agent? An agent is a software which always runs, like your antivirus software on a virtual machine, so that it can interact with Azure. Okay. So for example, in AWS, if you lose or if you forgot your password, right? If you lost your key, there is no way to regenerate that. Okay, at least normally. Okay. Now, if you go into Azure virtual machines, Okay. I have this virtual machine, which is a Ubuntu virtual machine. I'll start this. This should be generally stopped. If it is stopped, I'll start it. Oh no, it is running. Good. Okay. Now, if you go to this virtual machine, okay. Okay. All right. Every Azure virtual machine has a agent running. Okay. So every Azure VM will have an agent running. Okay. So you can use the capabilities of those agents, capability of agents to perform some activities. Okay. So I'm speaking about a very basic agent which is called as WA agent in the case of Linux. Okay. Now change password. If you forgot password, okay, go to diagnostic and solve problems. Right. You are getting all of this feature because there is one agent that is running in your system. Okay. Here it will try to tell you what are the common problems which you see. So for example, okay, cannot connect to virtual machines. He will try to give you this. Are you seeing help me with VM password reset? If you click on this and if you go through reading this documentation, he will try to tell that you can reset or restart the services in this following way. Right? Reset SSH credentials. You can connect them. Okay. So if you want to do it from portal, there is whole stuff that is happening. But that's fine. Let me come down. Let me scroll down. Okay. So if you go over here, are you seeing there is something called as okay, let me use screenshots because they help you a lot. There is a whole section called as support and troubleshooting. Okay, no, let me not do it in this way. Let me go in this way. Okay, alright. So, support and troubleshooting. If you go, there is a connection monitor also. Are you seeing this reset password and there is something called a serial console? Okay. Now let me basically show you what happens. I go to the serial console. I click on that serial console. Okay. So it is connecting to the console of your virtual machine. Okay. So for example, if you are starting your virtual machine and if you want to see what is happening, right, then basically you can look into this. It will try to tell you basically what is happening, and from this you can do some other stuff. And are you seeing reset password over here? So whenever you forget any virtual machine, you can reset your password, you can reset your SSH public key, right? So how are you getting all of these capabilities? Because there is one agent that is residing inside Azure which can help you. Okay. And now your question might be, okay, can I have some other agents? Okay. Whatever Microsoft is giving is fine. But can I have some other agents? The answer to that question is absolutely. The answer to that question is absolutely. You can have your own set of agents. Right? Or if you come from a little bit of dev community and all of that stuff, you can somehow add in your tools over here also. Right? So I'm not interested in serial console is not the stuff which you would generally use, but this is something which you would always use. Right. Save. AZ VM 40. Right. Change password. Serial console. Okay. And there are many features of this, but I'm just writing and I'll just give you some screenshots over here so that you are aware that because of that agent, okay, you will get some benefits. Good. Right. How to find if your default agent is running or not running for me? If your default agent is not running, Azure itself will try to tell that there is something wrong in your machine. So your state will not be started. Okay. So the default WA agent will have loads and loads of responsibilities. Am I clear on this? Right? So every virtual machine will have some kinds of agents. And now what you can do is you can install these agents. Okay. Can I install agents? Okay. Microsoft calls these agents as extensions, or it will allow you to install agents using extensions. Using extensions. Okay. Right. So extensions are different for Linux VM agents and Windows VM agents. Popular extensions are Chef, Puppet agent, right? And you can install PowerShell DSC, right? You can install antivirus applications, antivirus like Symantec, okay? And for the people who are very much worried about the security scanning and all of that stuff, okay? So some of the vulnerability tools such as Qualys, sorry, okay, there is something called as Rapid7. You can go on and on, right? So, and then along with all of this, you can also install monitoring or let me put it in this way, app monitoring tools like Dynatrace. I'm trying to write the tools which do not belong to Microsoft. Okay, apart from PowerShell DSC, right? Whatever tools which I've written over here, I've ensured that they are not belonging to Microsoft. 24/7. Okay, there are some of the stuffs which are available. Okay, so where can I find these extensions? Right? So there is a different approach basically for Windows, and there is a different approach which is basically available for what do you call for the Windows machines. Okay, but you can do one thing, right? So there is a whole documentation which is given by Microsoft where it will try to tell you how to identify the whole VM extensions which you have. And one more thing which they will also help you is you can install your own extension. You can install your own extension. So let me show you where it is, right? So if you go into any Azure virtual machine, okay, right? And then in the portal, are you seeing this extensions blade? Right? So now you can click on add. Okay, let me not do add over here. Let me basically show you first this. Every Azure virtual machine will have extensions blade. Okay. On extensions blade, you can go ahead and add your extensions. Okay. 41. Right. And now if you click on what are the different extensions which you have some of the extensions over here. Right. So you might ask, okay, my extension is not over here. Okay, are you using custom script? So execute your custom script and try to run your application over there. But if you see, there are some of the agents which are available. Okay. So I'm not saying that everyone might use this and all that stuff, but I'm trying to tell that some of the organizations would like to use extensions. So in that case, you should at least know. Okay. Right. So what are the different things which you can basically do this, right? So now the similar stuff is available for Windows also. Similar stuff is available for Windows also. So for that reason, what I'll try to do is, okay, let me go to virtual machines and quickly add a virtual machine, which is Windows, so that we can have both. Where can I find extensions? Okay. So this is, if your machine is Linux, then you can have extensions of 41 and 41 and 42. Okay. So let me also create one Windows machine over here. So create new. I'll call it as window. Let me just call it as window. Virtual machine is Qt Windows. I will use Central US. There is no doubt about it. So Central US. Okay. And my image is Windows 2016 data center. Okay. And let me change the size. Okay. You can use B1S. Definitely you can use B1S, but I am not going to use B1S. I'll use this B2S. Okay. Which is 2 virtual CPUs and 4 GB of RAM, because it is slightly faster. Okay. And username, let me put it as Qt DevOps. And then oh, sorry. Right. So if that is allowed, that is more than enough. Okay. Right. So I think I'm okay with this, at least at this moment. Okay. Fine. This machine will approximately cost me 4 rupees per hour. I'm absolutely okay with it. So because it would save some time for me. Right. So while this machine is creating, so we have this extensions. Now, what you can do with this extensions is you can run some of the commands over here. So for example, Okay. So let this work out. Let me go into another. You don't need two tabs for Azure. What I'm trying to create. That is generally what people from AWS do. They have multiple tabs. Okay. But for us, we don't need that. But still, I'm trying to do now. I'll go into virtual machines. I'll get into Nagios. Okay. I'll get into extensions. I'll say that I want to add an extension. Then it will ask what is an extension which you are trying to look out for. Okay. So 1 minute, man. Yeah. What is an extension which you are trying to look out for? Okay. Are you saying custom script for Linux? So I want to run some shell script for Linux. Okay. I'll add this extension. So then it will ask, what is the file which you want to run over here? Do you want to run some file? So, okay. You can open Notepad. If you know, you can write little bit of Linux over here. bin/bash sudo apt-get update sudo apt-get install git. Whatever it is, whatever shell script which you have. Okay. File, save, and let me save that in C drive. In C drive, I should have temp directory. Yes. Talio stems. Okay. And then I'll call it as script.sh. Save. Okay. Then it is asking, do you want to run select a file? Yes, I want to select a file. Okay. So this file, if you have any in any of your storage accounts, you can basically upload and execute that. Okay. This is for installing execution. Right now, you just click on OK. Right. So first you should have a shell script, and then you should upload that shell script to one of this storage accounts. Okay. So here I don't have any files at this moment because this extension can be executed from there. Okay. So that is how you basically run your shell scripts. Okay. You need to have that in storage accounts, right? Now let us see what happens for Windows. Okay. So in Windows also we have extensions, which is no different. Okay. Now if you click on this extensions, okay, you can add an extension. And now your extensions might not be same. Okay, there might be different extensions, but you will still have extensions. The approach or the basic process looks or sounds the same. Oh, I think I have not taken this screenshot first. All right. And yeah. So even if it is Windows VM, it is not very much different. Okay. So let me save this. Now if you click on add, now if you click on add, you will be seeing some of the extensions, right? So here you might have Windows specific extensions. Okay, so there will be some extensions which look same, there will be some extensions which should look different. Are you seeing? Right, these are all the extensions. But if you want to install your own extensions, you have to write script for that. You have to write script for that. Okay, clear on this? Right? Okay, so these are the extensions which are available. Okay, but Okay, there will be one extension, one way, okay, to run. Okay, if you want to run any command line command without logging in into Linux, okay. So first let me store this. Windows extensions. Okay. Right. No. Okay. Can I run commands in Linux or Windows machine without logging in? So the answer to that question is, let it be a Linux machine. I'm just showing you a Linux machine first. Okay. So in Linux machine, you have a blade, or even in Linux machine or Windows machine, you will have a blade which is called as operations. And in that operations, you have something called as run command. Okay. Now, let me click on that run command. Now, are you seeing there is something called as if config. If you understand what an if config is, if config will tell you what is an IP config. It is equivalent to IP config in Windows, right? So now over here you have run shell script and if config. This is something which happens for Linux. Okay, so you will have, right. You'll have shell script and if config. And now I'll not be putting the image of shell script, but if you basically run into this, okay. So in the earlier case, we had to upload the script into what a storage account and all other stuff. Now you don't need to do that. bin/bash sudo apt-get update, and then you can say sudo apt-get install tree-y. Now if you say run, you will basically see the execution in process. Let me, so why not this screenshot also? Okay, it will take some time. Okay, this whole stuff takes some time. Okay, so let me put the screenshot of that one also. Okay, you will observe the output. I'm not putting the output in this image, but right, in reality you will be getting. Okay, so let me put this image then. So are you saying you run your script, you write your script, you run your script, and then you see the logs over here, right? Fine. So let me put this one also. Okay. So in the Windows or Linux machine in Azure, for example, if you're asked to install anything, okay, there is no need for you to basically log in into machine. You don't need credentials. If you are an admin and if you have admin privileges, okay, right, then you can do this work by this run command. Now I am doing the same job for Windows. So Qt Windows also has operation sections, and here also you have run command. Okay, so let me save this. Okay, now if you basically look at this, now here we have more. Okay, here we have much more. Okay. I said that right? Microsoft gives better control on Windows because of all of this. Now, if you are a Windows administrator and if you look at the screen, right? So there is, without logging in into the machine, you can basically do hell lot of stuff. You can do hell lot of stuff from here. Okay. So if you want to set the remote desktop port, if you want to list your IP configuration, if you want to run PowerShell, okay, whatever it is. Okay. So network level authentication, if you want to display, right, there is a whole lot of stuff which is already present over here. So, but I'll still go with the actual stuff. Are you using enable remote PowerShell? You can enable PowerShell remoting also from here. But I'll run a PowerShell script. Okay. I'll just use $PS version. So if you basically look at what I'm trying to do, I am trying to run the command which we generally have run yesterday, if you remember. $PS version table dot. Let me not use dot. Let me directly run this. Okay. So if I run, I'll get all of this information. Now let me run this. So let us wait till we get the output. Okay. Will this run command reflect into VM when we assess it into it? See, run command, how will it reflect something? Man, what do you mean by reflecting? From here, if I install a software, if I log in as an SH user, will it be available to you or not? If that is your question, the answer is yes. Okay. So reflect is not a right term. Yeah, it should be there, right? Otherwise, what is the point of doing it? It is not a fun terminal, right? So there should be something that should happen over there. Yeah. Right. Man, come on. Right. So let it take its own time. I don't want to wait for it, but you can try it on your own. So you have to just execute this command. Okay. So now, okay. Once your execution is completed, you will see the output over here. Right. So this will be your 50. Okay. So where is that? If it is Windows, then you do this. Okay. 47. Okay. 49. Alright. Okay. Now, before I get any further, okay, I want to give an exercise to all of you now. Okay. Right. So what is that exercise? Right. Because I want you to make a note of certain things. Okay. Oh. Image numbers got mixed up. Line number 32. Yeah. Thanks, Rehan. 48, 49, 50. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm not an extensive note writer. Okay. I'm doing all of this newly. So for me, this is new. That's the reason. Thanks for correcting. Right. Okay. So let me not worry about this. It will take its own time and then you will be able to see the result. Okay. So let me go to my home. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is, okay, this is an exercise which I want you to come up during our next class. This is not something which I want you to do now. Okay. Okay. Because there is some one important thing which we basically try to learn out of this. Okay. So I want you to click on create a virtual machine. Okay. Okay. And give some information. Okay. I'm not really worried about my username is username. My password is. I'm not going to create this machine, so I'm not worried about what password is. Password at the rate 123, and here I'm putting it as password at the rate 123. Okay, right. So what I want you to do is, okay, exercise. Navigate through the Azure portal, okay, through every tab for virtual machine creation. Okay, go through every tab for VM creation and make a note of, okay, make a note of, right. So whenever we create a virtual machine, we need to connect a virtual machine. So let me basically do this. Make a note of, okay, uh, what is make a note of parameters. I'll call it as parameters. Okay. So now when I say go through all the tabs, what do I mean by that? So when you create a virtual machine, generally we are only looking at basics, but I want you to look at all of this. Okay. Right. So whenever we create a virtual machine, we have already discussed this here using our what you call virtual machine discussions also, and also during virtual machine icon. Okay, or I'll put it in this Azure virtual machine icon. Okay, so every Azure virtual machine needs network. Okay, and this network is something which we call as VNet. So Azure network connects to the virtual network. Okay, and when we learn networking, we understand what are the different networking parameters. But the whole point is there is something to do with networking. Okay, and Azure virtual machine basically will be connected to, okay, some disks. So you might call it as a OS disk, data disk, temporary disk, whatever you want to call it. So we'll have certain kinds of disks which it connects to. Okay. So this is storage. We all know about these two things. Okay. Network and storage is for sure. What are the other things? That is the whole intention of this exercise. Now, I'm not worried about this disk. When we basically, if you go into networking, there is something about networking over here. Okay. So this will tell about what is the network which you can select, what are the different networking components which it connects to, and all of that stuff, right? And now let me get into management. Okay. So are you seeing these parameters? Right? Whenever your machine is running, do you want to store all of the boot diagnostics? Boot diagnostics is whatever logs that come out of your machine whenever the machine is starting. Do you want me to enable that? Do you want me to enable auto shutdown? Do you want me to enable backup? Okay, these are some important stuffs, right? Okay, and then let me get into advanced. So if you get into advanced section, are you seeing there is something called as select an extension to install? So while creating the virtual machine itself, there is an option to create, select an extension to install, and then there is something called as cloud init. Okay. Next comes tags. and then the basic options. I want you to make a note of all of them. Am I clear on this? Right? So with this, what are the other options which you'll have? You will have options for extensions, right? You will have options for choosing size of your machines. You will have options, okay, to run a script at startup. Okay. This is something which we call as cloud init. Okay. Am I clear on this? I'm just trying to write the whole stuff. Okay. And then along with that, okay, you can select, okay, auto shutdown. Okay. You can select your diagnostic information. Okay. That is when my operating system is booting, do I want to store the boot logs? Okay. So boot logs, guest logs. Okay. Right. And then it will also ask you what are the different extensions which I can install. I can all of this. There is loads of things that are happening over here. And while creating the machine itself, you can connect to a load balancer. Okay. So your virtual machine creation, okay, basically gives you an option for storing all of this. And I want you to make a note of them because we'll be speaking about them. Okay. Right. So, and also this. Also. Okay. Alright. Make a note of parameters. Okay. Alright. So this is 51. The reason why I'm asking you is this list changes. Okay. This helps in understanding the things that can be done while creating the VM. Okay. So what are the things which we can create the VM? Configure VM details such as size, credentials, okay, and so on. I'm not writing everything. Okay. So configure network details. Okay. And then there will be something called as configure storage details. So when you learn whatever Azure's networking is all about, then this is the area where it will go and impact you. Okay. And then you will have something towards management. Okay. If you basically look into this page, if you get into this management, right? So this is where we were able to, okay, do some of the administrative activities like, okay, log information, okay, auto shutdown. Auto shutdown is if you want your machine to automatically shut down every day at a particular moment in your time, you can do that. And then you can assign identity, right? Right? And then you can enable backup. All of this while you are starting your machine. Okay. And then if you get into advanced sections, you can do something called as cloud init. We'll be speaking about that. And then extensions that can be installed. Extensions to be installed. A virtual machine gives you an option to all of this. Right? So this I think I've stayed with stored with 52. Yeah. Good. So if you see, there are many options over here. Okay. Could Cloud Init work for Windows machines also? Yes, it should. Find out. Now I have given you the option, right? Now try to find out what is the difference between a Linux or a Windows machine over here. Yeah. So I've opened up the doors. Now you can go and try to basically look into this. Right. Now let me cancel this machine creation. Okay. So the Rehan, you don't need to do too much. The only thing which you have to do is go over here, change this image to Windows or Windows stuff. Okay. Get into next. Next. Okay. Next. Okay. And basically there is something called as next over here. Okay. There is extensions. Okay. And then it tries to tell that the selected image doesn't support Cloud Init. Now you find out what are the images, how Cloud Init can be done on a Windows machine. Try doing that. Okay. So this is something which you can, this is something which is basically on the leverage. Right. Yeah. Okay. Fine, sir. So this is what I want you to experiment with. Okay. Fine. Now if you see, I have one virtual machine which is Linux based, and I have one virtual machine which is Windows based. Right. And okay. These were all the information which I was trying to speak about. Now let me try to speak about this stuff which is very, very important, which is called as VM image. So what is the scenario? Consider you have created a VM, okay, logged inside it, logged into it, or let me put it, logged into it, and configured VM with all the necessary stuffs. Okay, necessary stuff when I say installing software, whatever it is, installing software, okay, configuring security, etc., all the activities, okay, okay, so that this VM matches, this VM basically matches your organizational expectation. Organizational expectation. Okay. Now you have done all of this. Okay. So whether you have written a script for this, whether you have done it manually or whatever it is, right? So you have done this. Now the whole point is, how can you save the effort of redoing all of the above activities for future virtual machines with same OS, with same operating system. Okay. How can you save effort of redoing all the activities? Okay. With the same OS. What do you think is your answer for this? So for example, I have done all of this on a Windows VM. I have done all of this on a Ubuntu VM. I have done all of this on a Linux VM. So what is your approach for this? What do you think we can do? Okay. So what is it you are trying to do whenever you are creating a virtual machine? Come on, man. Yeah. So while creating every virtual machine, okay, You select this, sorry, you select this image. Yes. So what is this image? This image already has an operating system with whatever necessary softwares which you want. Okay. With already necessary systems with already the stuff which you want. Now your organization is also using Ubuntu, but they take Ubuntu and they install some extra softwares. Okay. So let me store this. They take this Ubuntu. Okay. Now, if you click on this browse public and private images, there is something called as marketplace. Okay. So marketplace is for all the commercial images. So whatever if you are trying to do, if someone else can already sell it, you can go and purchase it from there. So and then there is something called as my items. Okay. My items is your images. Okay. Let me not do it over here. Let me use paint for this. Okay. So marketplaces, images sold by others. Sold is not the only term, sold or shared, because every image might not have some cost around it. Okay. So that is exactly what a marketplace image is. Okay. So this is what a marketplace image is. But when it comes to my items, these are images created by us for our organizational use cases. Am I clear on this? So you have two options. You can go with marketplace images, which are created by someone else, or you can go ahead and create your own images. Okay? You can go and create your own images. The choice is yours. Okay? So, did I save this image? I hope I did. No, right. Yeah. 54. Right. By the way, this is not 54. This is what we want as 54. Yeah. Okay. Right. Fine. So, answer is Azure VM image. VM images are provided by Microsoft, third parties, and third parties images are called as shared images, and then custom images created by created by users. These are private images. They basically created for own stuff, right? So Microsoft, or you will have something called as Microsoft approved. Okay. So here we have two kinds of, but actually the Ubuntu machine is a third party image, but it is approved by Microsoft. Okay. Along with that, we have some third party images also, but you can create your own images. You can create your own images. So the answer to your question, how can I basically save my effort is, Azure VM image, which can be created by the user. So as a user, you can go ahead and create images. You can create images. Okay, right. So, but how can I create images? How can I create images? There are many ways. How can VM images be created? Okay, first for private usage. Now, for this, you can do this from portal. From portal, what you need to do is, okay, after you configure existing VM with all the softwares, just do as shown below. So if you go to a VM, okay, I'm not creating any VM. Okay, so if I go to this VM, in the overview blade, okay, so first you create a VM, you do whatever you want in that VM, and then are you seeing this capture? Sorry, this capture. This is something which you need to do. Okay, so this will create the VM. Okay, so and from there on, you can use private images or my items section. Okay, so for example, in here, are you seeing this my items section? Right, this my items section. Did I save this? Okay, 55. Okay. Okay. So other options could be, okay, you can use Azure CLI to create a VM image, and you can use Azure PowerShell to create a VM image. Effective image creation. Okay, this can be done by an automation tool called as Packer. So if you are learning DevOps, you would learn a tool called as Packer, and this Packer can help you in creating your VM images in a very effective fashion. Okay, right? So am I clear on that? Okay, right. Fine. Alright. So Microsoft is also coming up with something called as VM Builder, but that is not completely ready. That's the reason which I am not speaking about it. There is something called as VM Builder, but VM Builder is much beyond our scope of discussion over here, because it is still in preview mode. It is not released yet. Okay. So probably down the line in the future, you might see a section over here which speaks about Image Builder. Yeah, you can do that one also. You can save the scripts and you can run it whenever you want. So for example, Jitendra, your answer could be, after my VM is created, I'll be basically running that extension, and in that extension I'll be basically configuring your shell script or PowerShell script, right? So where I can run that script. That could be possible. But this is a way which is most popular, the image way. Okay, because no one needs to run that script every time. They already have everything in their image. That's the other way of looking at it. Okay, right. So now, fine. What are pros of this approach? Right? Pros of this approach is easy for the upcoming VMs. Okay. Why? Because user just has to create. User just has to create. Okay. What is cons of this approach? Okay. Right. Changes in the needs might lead to new VM images. Okay. So whenever there is a change in the need, that means that you need to create a new VM. And the second thing is extra cost to be paid for storage. So whenever you are creating a VM images create some kind of a storage. So for that you will be paying an extra cost. This is basically what the cons of it is, right? So now there is no approach that will fit every situation. So it is you will try to take what is your current scenario, and from there you will try to basically what you call you will try to find out what is a better one for you. What is a better one for you? Okay, right? Fine. So right. Anything else on this? Okay. So let me speak about Azure shared image gallery. Okay. So how can I share VM images for public usage? You are actually creating a VM in your account, but you want to share it for public usage. Why? Because probably you want to make a money out of it, you want to become popular or whatever it is. The answer to that is shared image. Okay. You might not do this. Okay. Generally in our enterprises we will never create a shared image until unless you are working in Red Hat, you are working in Ubuntu, you are working in some antivirus software company. Rarely we do that. Okay. Clear on this? Yeah. Okay. So fine. Now where is this? Okay. Steps involved in creating VM image. So what are the steps basically that we do in creating a VM image? We will basically discuss about that, and then we will get into the what do you call? Then we will try to get into the other side of the world where we try to discuss about okay, I want to use VM images. Fine. Okay. So what are the different things which I can basically do? Right. Fine. So now let me try to speak about the steps. First thing which is basically expected is whenever you are creating a custom image, there is certain amount of steps that needs to be done. Okay. So Azure VM image is not supposed to have a specific username and password, okay, like AWS. So I'm quite sure that you might have gone and created a machine in AWS. In AWS, basically what happens is whenever you create a machine, the username is fixed. Okay. So for that you have to create a public key or a private key agent, and then you need to work around. Okay. So Azure doesn't work that way. So Azure VM images should be generalized. So when they say generalized, what is that? What does that mean? No specific user information should be stored. Why? Why? Because don't we remember while creating a virtual machine, we have what do you call? We have an option to set the username and password and username and public. For the image which we are trying to create also, we would like to want the same approach, right? So that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That is what you would have. Okay, right? And then obviously you will have some agents inside it. I am not writing in the agents. Azure VM should be generalized. There should be no user specific information. Okay, and note the VM which is used to create a VM image in Azure becomes unusable after that. Unusable after image creation. So better delete it. So if I capture an image from this Nagios image, after this Nagios virtual machine will not be of any use. Why? Because, right? So the steps are this. Okay. So first, generalize the VM. Okay. When they generalize the VM, user information is deleted. And then after that, they deallocate the VM. So when they deallocate the VM, all the resources are gone. Okay. So copy of the hard disk is taken as a snapshot. Metadata is some additional data is added to it. These are the basic steps. So your virtual machine image is nothing but a backup of your hard disk plus some additional information, which doesn't have any user specific information. It will just have softwares that you have installed, but not your user information. Okay. Am I clear on this concept? Can you repeat the 88th line? Okay. So for example, if I create a VM, I say that I want to capture this VM. So what will happen? Generalize the VM. Generalize the VM will remove my user. Yes. It will not remove the softwares. It will remove the user with which I am logging in. Okay. And then the VM is deallocated. Deallocated means VM will be stopped and no resources are allocated of it. And then the copy of the hard disk is taken as a snapshot. And metadata is added to it. Okay. To create a VM image. Now, if you basically go and look into this VM, from your VM, all of the user information has been removed. That means you don't have the same login again. So if you don't have a login, how will you log in into that VM again? No way. So that's where in Azure, whenever you create a virtual machine, your VM becomes unusable. After that, if you really want the same VM again, use that VM image to create a new VM. Am I clear on that? Am I clear on that, sir? Yeah. Good. Fine. So, right. I would want to speak about a last topic. That too, I don't want to speak too much about it. I'll just give you a reference. Okay. Cloud init. Okay. Cloud init is a startup script. Cloud init is a startup script generally executed on Linux flavors. Generally. Okay. So right, you might see a lot of development there. Generally executed on a Linux flavor. Okay. Which is supported on multiple clouds. So for example, if you cloud init script is supported by multiple, for example, AWS supports it, Azure supports it, Google supports it. Why? Because cloud init is a standard. Okay. To understand or to use cloud init, to use Cloud Init, user is expected to write a YAML file. User is expected to write a YAML file. Okay, right. Fine. I'll discuss about it, but for today, what I'll basically do is refer here. Okay. Cloud Init. Okay. Whatever you think you have time, you can basically go through this. Whenever you think you have time. Okay. Am I clear on this? So you can, I have given the link of this. You can go through this. I think we have discussed enough today. You have a lot of information to be digested. Okay. And all of this information is unfortunately important because you need to speak about design. Today it was mostly about design. Okay, right? So there are some of the examples. If you understand them, that is far more than enough. There are some of the examples which are present in Cloud Init. I'll navigate you through that. That will be more than enough. But today let us introduce Cloud Init. Okay. So now, what is that we are going to do in our next classes? We will start with Cloud Init. Okay, where we'll try to understand some little shell script and all of that stuff. And then let us stop worrying about one machine, one virtual machine. Let us start worrying about little bit huge now, a bit of huge setup. Okay, so how can I run my organization's application? So I might be dealing with multiple machines. Okay, so what will I do if my customers increase? So we need to scale our machines. So we'll be discussing about availability and scaling, and we will be going towards virtual machine scale sets, and we'll be going about load balancers, right? So our next couple of classes will be mostly towards virtual machine scale sets and a load balancer and how to configure that. Okay, so for that I have an exercise for you guys. Okay, I want this exercise to be done for you for sure. Okay, don't do it now. Okay, do it before the class on Monday. So create a Linux VM image. Okay, or let me put it in this way: Ubuntu Linux VM image. Okay, by creating a Linux virtual machine. Size is B1S. Okay, with the following softwares installed in it. So create a Ubuntu machine. Okay, log in into that Ubuntu virtual machine and then execute sudo apt-get update and then install sudo apt-get install. Okay, Apache 2 -y sudo apt-get. Okay, or let me put it in this way: lamp stack on Ubuntu 18.04. I'll write down the steps. You have to just execute. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm just ensuring that I don't miss something. Okay, because I don't trust my memory too much. Okay, but we can definitely trust the documentation. Yeah. Okay. Right. Fine. This is all fine. Sudo systemctl restart Apache. I'm not worried about all of this. Right. Yes. Yeah. So execute ensure that you create www.html info.php, and in this info.php I want you to add a content which looks like this. Okay, so I'm giving some space. Okay, so in this info.php it should have this content. Okay, right? And after that, http://public IP address/info.php. If you click on this page, it should show an image which looks something like this. Okay. After navigating to IP address as mentioned in above steps, okay, it should look like alright, fine. So you create a virtual machine, you do all of that stuff, and then whenever you click on this capture, let me click on capture. I'm just showing you the options. Okay. Are you seeing automatically delete the virtual machine after creating the image? Don't worry about, don't forget to add this. Okay. So, okay. Don't forget to add this. Okay. If you want, you can make this on or off. Okay. But I want you definitely to do this activity. So on Monday when you attend your class, I would expect that you have this image. Okay. And along with all of this, there is one additional tool which I install. So sudo apt-get install stress. Am I clear on this? So where should I put that? Yeah. Now create a VM image. What was our number? Right, 56. Good. So today you have two exercises to make a note of everything. Okay. Now you need to create a VM image. Right, guys. So I think we have discussed a hell lot of stuff. Okay. So go through this. It will take considerable amount of time for you guys. Okay. Right. I think I've shown you just now, Rehan. So is that okay? So that capture VM image, if you basically select that option, after that, if you click on OK, it's just done. The only thing which I've not done in the classroom is create. Okay. Right. Fine. And one more thing is, okay, I'm not sure whether I've spoken in the Azure class about it or not. So for the people, okay, calendly.com. Hopefully this is what the IP address is. Okay, let me go over here. Yeah. So if you go to this URL, you will find, you can schedule a 15 minutes meeting with me. Okay. So anyone in this classroom who wants to speak with me, please, you are always open. Okay. I'm available every day from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. apart from Monday. On Monday I'll not be available. I want to do something else. So I think if you want to speak anything with me, okay, then you can basically connect to that. Okay. Right. So slowly I'll open up sometime in the evening also to meet the US time zones. Right now I'm not doing that, but very soon you might see me some days in the morning and some days in the evening. That's how the schedule will be. Okay. So that even I can do a little bit things. So right now if you want to schedule anything, it is already part of your mails. You can go through that. Okay. Right, man. So I'm stopping it at that. Okay. Ensure that you go through all of this. Right. There is a lot of information and there is still a lot to be learned. Okay. Thanks for your time. Right. After completing the classes also you can contact anytime, sir. You can contact anytime. Okay. My first preference will always be my students. Okay. Right. But please don't share this with the students, your friends who are not my students, because for me it is always my students who are the priority. Okay, they might be your friends, right? But for me, it is you who are important, not your friend. Yeah, right. Okay. Because sometimes, right, I connect to a people and suddenly I come to know that he is not my student. I don't want to stop conversation, but I could have given an opportunity to my student, right? Yeah. Will we also look into Packer? Ideally, the answer to that would be no. But let me see if I can do something over there. Because anyway, I'm revamping on certain structures. So there can be a scope, but right now I don't promise anything. I'll try my level best on that. Okay? Right. Okay, sir. Thanks for your time.